This is the Revolutionary Radio, run by none other than the most runaway slave called Gillie Priest, in association with the World Wide Web, this control, even the ebb that flows in the sea. Revolutionary Radio, Gillie, live free.
This is Revolutionary Radio, and I'm Gillie Priest. Today we are going to discuss providing vision and leadership to the world. Why do we have to contextualize leadership in terms of global effects, global happenstance? To give a parallel of the position that Jamaica is in, we are going to look for a brief moment at the Soviet Union when it did exist before the 1990s and its demise. The Soviet Union was made up of over 360 million people, if not more. It had a so-called first world economic base. It had a modern military. It had scientists and engineers. And it was the main protagonist to the Western world. But what happened in the 1990s to the Soviet Union? The challenges that it had posed to the Western civilization no longer exist today. The Soviet Union collapsed under the weight of the challenges from the West, from the United States, from France, from Germany, from England, and other underlings. I say that to say, if the Soviet Union could not withstand the might of the United States and its collaborators, what chance of Jamaica with let's say, 0.5 million people stands against the opposition of the United States and the Western worlds? If the Soviet Union, with all its power, could not withstand the might of the United States and Western civilization, what chance does Jamaica stand? What chance does the Caribbean stand in terms of such challenges? When we know that the ruling class of this country does not even have the slightest resistance in their blood to stand up for any meaningful challenges that may come from without. We know that. Show me one member of the parliament that would lay down his life to secure the well-being of this nation and its people. Not one. The vast majority of them has secured some type of foreign visa. The first pressure, the first heat, they shall flee. Their constitution is not built for national challenges. So we must realize that the ideas that our present leadership imposes upon the nation and its people are stagnant ideas. Ideas that secure the nation's wealth for their own benefit, while the people suffer. When we speak of visionary leaders and leadership to this world, we have seen a few Africans who have met these challenges in modern times. One of the most illustrious leaders of our time was Robert Mugabe of Zimbabwe, a man who has fought to advance the interests of Africa while at the same time fighting for the liberation of his people. And we have lived long enough to see or Europe has vilified this African. They have vilified him to the point where some of our own people have acquiesced to this vilification, of joining the bandwagon. We can speak of leaders like Govan Mbeki, Samuel Njoma from Namibia, Robert Holden. There are various individuals, some of who have maintained their dignity through discipline, and some of who fell away on the wayside, yet have contributed in some form or fashion to the worldwide liberation struggle of Africans. For the past 2,500 years, Africans were removed from the world stage. From the time of the Persians, from the time of the Greeks, from the time of the Romans, all these great nations sought and carried out the destruction of the African people and civilization. Today we see even where the northern aspect of Africa no longer resemble Africa, where black Africans are being rejected out of Africa. Africans are being deported out of Africa. Statesmanship today is reserved for the Western world. You cannot find one single politician in any African country or in the diaspora, meaning in the Caribbean and in the western part of the world, that is given the recognizable title of being a statesman. They are main whiners and mouthpieces who, like one European said, they all come to Europe just to have a good meal, but they can never influence not even the policy that affects their own country. Do you remember when they were burying the Queen Elizabeth in England, that died recently, several years ago? All the great European countries sent emissaries, president, prime ministers, ambassadors, and they drove in their limousine to the Buckingham Palace or wherever they went to bury the Queen. And all the third world leaders, including the prime minister of this country, were put on a bus. A head of state was required to take public transportation. In the most recent past, I addressed the issue of education as it pertains in particular to Jamaica and in general to the African continent. And I asked a fundamental question: why is it that it appears that education cannot serve us? Why is it that we can attain all these degrees from all these Western institutions, and yet we have demonstrated consistently of lacking vision? That's what I addressed. However, I was asked after that presentation that what makes me feel like I have the authority to speak on such a fundamental issue. Yeah, I was asked that. Not in a disrespectful way, but in a curious way. There are also some that may believe that I am a disgruntled individual because of my imprisonment. So therefore, I speak against what is being issued amongst the nation as education and educators. However, at the same time, I recognize that the Jamaican society, and in Africa in general, is a very credential society. Meaning, if you can produce certain certificates or a certain degree, then at a certain level you will be accommodated, even if you are lacking in an historical name or lacking a certain blood in your vein. They will make a certain room for you if you say you have certain degree. But I am not one who is fascinated by degrees. Yet I am not one who say the grape is sour because I cannot attain it. So Revolutionary Radio today, I will take this a slight opportunity to credentialize myself for those who put their faith in credentials, yet it means nothing to me. I care less about you and your college accomplishments, especially if you are lacking conceptual ideas to liberate yourself and your own people. So I'm going to credentialize myself, not for my own benefit, but for those who are curious, as well as for those who believe that being credentialed gives you a certain authority. Now let me say this. I was incarcerated for 45 years. And for that entire 45 years, I have never exited through the door of academia. Let me state that to you in another way. I have spent my entire 45 years studying in Western universities with professors coming in, not no internet connection, not no corresponding courses. And as I sit here today, I can tell you I learned nothing of consequence to my existence. So let's kind of run through these credentials and give you an example. Before I was arrested, I attended Manhattan Technical College where I studied architecture. But I never completed it because I was arrested. However, in 1983, I attained an associate degree from the University of the State of New York, Albany, New York. In 2015, I attended a major bachelor degree in behavioral science from Mercy College at Dobbs Ferry, New York, with an average of 3.650 GPA, graduating magna cum laude. Bear with me. In 2019, I obtained a master's degree in professional studies, concentrated in fundamental leadership, urban ministry, social reconciliations from the New York Theological Seminary. I attended Bard College, one of the most illustrious private colleges in the United States. I attended class in Columbia University, being taught by distinguished professors. I attended Alliance University. Throughout the years, I have obtained tens of certificates in business, in AIDS counseling, in whatever it was. And those credentials can be verified by anyone with a question by just accessing a computer and accessing those universities. Mercy College, Columbia University, Alliance University, Bard College, and the New York Theological Seminary. I relate that to say to you, had my ambition been to be credentialized and to join any system to show that I could be like them, I have that access. I have that access. In terms of learning, spending on and off 45 years in universities, I learned nothing yet graduating magna cum laude and in the distinction field in the master's degree. Now, what do I mean by learn nothing? Had I not been fortified in the concept of Rastafari and fortified in Pan-Africanism, I would have exited those institutions with those same very degrees. But would have encased completely within Western philosophy. I would have been a walking programmer for the ideas of Europe. So when I come to you and I say to you that education cannot free you, that education can only...
Chicken must return to roost. Tying up hens that was once loose. Revolutionary radio. Gillie, set it straight. No time to underrate. Time to participate. Revolutionary radio. Come to work, not lurk. Yeah. Gillie radio.